Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is a real short video to provide an overview of project number one. Now, this is due on October 13th, but I'd like to get it out as early as possible so that you have enough time to review it, to think about it, and produce something of quality. All right, so I'm going to highlight three particular points. The first is that you are only to do one of these. There are, as you can see, four different options, but you are only to do one. The second point is that all responses must include citation or a list of works cited, and that your sources must be formatted in either Chicago, MLA, or APA style. Now, all four of these options are going to require some research on your part. Uh, Certain choices are going to require more research than the others based on the nature of the question, but all of them will require a little bit. And you need to provide me with your sources. And while I am not going to be taking off for a comma or a period in the wrong place in these citations, they have to be in one of those three major formatting styles, and they need to be, generally pretty good. If nothing else, this is going to just get you in a good habit of uh, citing your sources and doing it in a way which is, required at a university level. The third point is that these sources must be good. So we are talking about major newspapers, academic journals, published books, generally are going to be okay. Anything from a website that is from a library or a museum or a university. Magazines are, magazines are iffy, but if you are looking at like a National Geographic or a Smithsonian or a magazine like the Atlantic or something like that, then generally speaking you're going to be okay. If you have a question about whether a source is reputable and acceptable, ask me. I'll tell you. But we have to ensure that the sources that you cite, the people behind those sources, are experts in what it is that they are talking about or writing about. Now, I'm not going to go through the topics of all four of these at length because I think they are pretty self-explanatory, but real short. Number one is about the cultural legacy of slavery, discussing how certain parts of African cultural traditions survived the transatlantic slave trade and were kind of flourished again in this country. The second option is about a document written by a man named David Walker. This will be something that is conveyed to you during the review of notes on abolitionism, but it's a remarkable document. The third question is about African American voter suppression. Pretty relevant with that big debate. Sorry, the big election that we have coming up in November. The historic attempts to suppress the votes of African Americans, which is still going on. That's what number three is about, kind of the history of that from the beginning to now. And the fourth question is about the debate that this country is still having over what should be done with Confederate monuments and memorials. Now, while you are free to discuss any monument that you like, I would suggest that you do one close to where you grew up. Some of you might have had one in the hometowns that you are from, especially if you are from the South. I always encourage people to learn the local history of where they are from. But you can do any monument. And there's a series of questions there about, what is this monument? Where is it located? What does it look like? But more importantly, are there any protests or movements to take, this monument down? And if so, kind of what are the dynamics of that? So there we go. Those are the four options for project number one. They're just like the assignments. It's just that they're more in depth and require a little bit more original research on your part. Whereas the assignments are kind of just like responses to like one thing that you're all reading. This is going to be very different than that. Any questions? As always, do let me know.